Okay, reaction video time. This is another one in the what is the dumbest thing an American has said to you. Um, let's see. I can't wait.
I'm kind of curious. What is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
Where do I begin? So I was raised in the state of New
Or you begin? You begin at the beginning, like everybody else.
York and originally from Ecuador.
Ecuador, which is in South America.
No, South America. And when I was about 12
Yeah,
years old, we moved to the south, specifically the state of Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta is a city. Georgia's a state. But go on.
On my first day of school, everybody seemed really excited to meet me, and they were like, "Oh, originally, where are you from?" And of course, I'm like, "Oh, I'm from Ecuador."
Let me guess. They had no clue where Ecuador was.
And guess what they said? Ecuador, like, where is that even, like, from? Is that, like, a place in Mexico?
Now, that doesn't necessarily surprise me they didn't know where Ecuador is, but you think you'd ask smarter questions. When I was in high school, we had a French foreign exchange student come in, and she was from Lille, or a town outside of Lille, and I had never heard of Lille before. And so the question I asked was, "Is it close to Paris?" Because that's the one, and she said, "No, it's to the north of Paris, and it's on the Belgian border." Okay, now look, for all intents and purposes, I wasn't as cultured as I am now. I wasn't too aware of certain things because the only thing when you talk about France and the United States at that time, from my knowledge, I only knew about Paris. I knew the Eiffel Tower. I didn't know a whole lot about it. So what I did was I asked, what did you do? What kind of things do they have there, and that sort of thing. And then I went and did the research myself. But it doesn't sound like that's what these people did.
Is that, like, close to, like, Mexico? Like,
Mexico's in North America, Ecuador's in South America.
like, where in Mexico is that? And then when I finally explained that it was in South America and that it's located exactly on the equator, they were still really confused.
I had no clue what she was talking about.
They were like, if Mexicans are from Mexico, like, what do they call your people?
Ecuadorians.
I'm like, oh, I'm Ecuadorian. Ecuadorian? What the hell does that even mean? Like, Ecuador?
It means somebody from Ecuador. It's that simple.
I'm curious. What is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
So while I was a student, I was a tour guide for the Parliament of Canada. So you would walk people around, show the different rooms, explain what the architecture was about. So we got to the House of Commons, and there's 3 sets of doors. The French, the English, and the Canadian doors. So the 2 different colonizing cultures that came together.
Yeah, the English and French colonized and became Canada.
Create Canada to enter through the Canadian doors. And then the American tourist comes up to me and full out seriously asks me, where are the American doors?
Now, you can make an argument here to some extent, because people have told me this in some of the comments that in the United States we call ourselves Americans, and so technically speaking, Canadians are Americans, Mexicans are Americans, the Central Americans are Americans, South Americans are Americans, and they're right, they are. But in this case, I think what the tourist, I believe, is trying to say is that the United States somehow founded Canada, and that's just not accurate.
Like, well, aren't we part of your, like, founding you? Like, where are our doors? And then I had to just, like, stare at him, like, why would there be American doors again? And he looked back at me, and he was also confused at his own question. And we just kind of stared at each other until I just, like, wandered away.
I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, I can't say that I blame you. The United States had, well, look, there were colonies of Americans and French and Spanish in the, let's go on. United States had nothing to do with colonization of Canada.
What is
or the founding of Canada.
The dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
So I'm a customer service agent, and an American guy called in. We quickly started talking, and I mentioned that I was from Cape Town. He said
Cape Town is in South Africa.
I had to mention a few places in Cape Town that he could remember. So he mentioned Table Mountain, and he started talking about the animals that we have, like the lions that roam the earth. And then he quickly said that he can remember that we had a natural disaster called apartheid. At first I thought he was talking about the ocean, but then I realized that he thought apartheid was a natural disaster.
Apartheid was a government policy in South Africa that was a very racist policy in South Africa.
So I quickly moved the conversation away from that topic, and I asked if I could further assist him on his account. Because, what?
I'm kind of curious. What is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
Hi. Yeah, fellow American here. And this is still the dumbest thing an American has ever said to me because I'm from Alaska, the 49th state, which somehow gets lost in translation to the 48 other states.
I know Alaska's the 49th state. I've been to Alaska, the 49th state. Been there, was there about 5 years ago.
That came before us, who somehow forget that we're a state, because then we have people who come up to Alaska and they walk into my tour shop and they're like, hi, where's the currency exchange?
Yeah. Not really surprised about that, but yeah. You sure they weren't Canadian?
Are you planning a trip to Canada? We are like right close to the border. No. I need Alaskan money.
Ah, there we go. That's the answer. Maybe they were Canadian and needed a currency exchange, but they weren't Canadian. They were Americans. They needed Alaskan money. No, you're in the United States. You're still in the United States. You haven't left the United States. You just gone to a state that's not in the lower 48. That's all.
Are you not from the United States? No, I'm from Kansas. But I need Alaskan money. Ma'am, did you miss the giant American flag right outside I can see it out my window. There's also one at the post office just across the street. It's the same. It's the same money. Stay tuned for part 2.
Okay.
Can't wait for part 2.
We've all seen the stitch that's the guy saying, what's the dumbest thing an American's ever said to you? I want to know, if you're an American, what's the dumbest thing a non-American ever said to you, like about America, that you were just like, oh, you've never actually known anything about the realities of America, you've only ever watched our television shows.
Now that is actually true as well. Okay, I once saw a video here on YouTube about what do British people think about America, and it was like I was watching CNN, people getting their information from CNN about what life is like in America. Nobody in America watches, in the United States, watches CNN. And it was like, we're a bunch of racists, we're a bunch of gun-toting murderers, we're all this stuff, and just not true. But and something about sticking a microphone in front of an individual, and it happens to me as well, doing this, you tend to think you're smarter than you actually are. And you come across sounding not very intelligent about what you're speaking about. Even the people who said they'd been to America, like there was a lady on there who said that the law is different from state to state. It's not like when I'm from Ohio. If I go to Indiana, it's not like I have to bring out Indiana's book of laws to find out what I can and can't do. It's it's pretty much common sense, but it was an interesting video nonetheless. But let's go on.
I'm gonna go first. I had a roommate, this was in Canada, she was Canadian, who told me that because my mother got her medical degree in America, her definition of healthy was not actual health. It was different from the Canadian doctor version of healthy. My mother wasn't actually a health expert.
Now that's actually interesting. Well, like I say, they all come in all shapes and sizes, different nationalities too.
My mother did her undergrad at the same Canadian school I went to.
I'm kind of curious. What is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
Okay, so basically like 7 or 8 years ago, I was at Victoria Coach Station in London, and I met this American girl, and we started talking, and she's like, oh my God, where you from? And I was like, well...
all these girls in these videos that they're describing these American girls, oh my God, where you from? My niece is...
I was born in...
is kind of around the age group we're talking about here. She never talks like that. None of her friends talk like that, but Okay.
Raised in Romania, but I've been living in England for like 3 years now. And we started talking about different topics, blah, blah. And then we started talking about politics. And I don't have...
The two things in life you should avoid are politics and religion as a subject for discussion with anybody, especially if you don't know them.
Actually remember what I said, but I was talking about the Romanian president. And he's like, oh my God, he did this and blah, and I'm not really into politics. And then she looked at me like she was flabbergasted, like, wow. And then she asked me, oh, you guys have a president as well?
Yes, they do.
I thought he was just an American.
There are other leaders of other countries, and some other countries call their leaders presidents.
Thing.
I'm kind of curious. What is
Now, again, a little bit of knowledge goes a long way. Just because, I don't know that I would necessarily I suppose to some extent you could say that, I didn't know you called your leader a president, and that's all good and well, but yeah, it's not just the United States where we have presidents.
What's the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
I'm late to the trend, but I need to tell this. So a long time ago, I was on vacations with my family in Mexico. And usually we have direct flights from Mexico to Lisbon. Yes, I'm Portuguese.
Portugal, yes, Lisbon.
And yeah, we had a direct flight from Lisbon to Cancun. And we were supposed to also have a direct flight from Cancun to Lisbon. But there were problems. So instead, we needed to do a stop in the United States. So when we stopped at the United States and they asked to see our passports, things got confusing. Because when the policemen took our passports for the control for checking, they said that we could not pass because our passports were wrong. He said that where it says country, it should be Spain because Portugal is not a country, but a city from Spain.
No. Portugal is a legitimate country. It's on the Iberian Peninsula. It's right next to Spain. Cristiano Ronaldo does not play for Spain in the World Cup. He plays for Portugal, which is a legitimate country.
I'm kind of curious. What is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
So I'm American, obviously, but I got a story for you.
Please do share.
This one time I was at an audition in Nashville, and I was sitting next to this pretty blonde girl. I asked her where she was from, and she said, I'm from Alabama. How about you?
I love how we gotta do those southern accents. Just tell the story.
Nice. I'm from Oklahoma. Huh? I'm from Oklahoma? What is that?
It's called a state in the United States. It's in the center of the country.
Excuse me? What is that? What is it? It's a state. Like in the United States?
Yeah, exactly. In the United States.
Yes. In the United States of America.
Well, you probably just says it's a fictional place. I'm from another world, and I just walked through, and I'm now here in Tennessee, and I'm talking to you now. Isn't that amazing? See what she says then.
I've never heard of that. You've never heard of Oklahoma?
Now, most people in my country have heard of Oklahoma, okay? Even if you don't know where it's located on a map, you know it by the college football team, you know it by the musical called Oklahoma. There's a lot of ways to find out about other states in the country. By the time I was in the third grade, I could do all the 50 states in alphabetical order in about 30 seconds. So, yeah, that's quite amazing. If you're in Alabama, you don't know anything about Oklahoma.
No, where is that? It's like right in the middle of the country, like right above Texas, you know. Oh, so it's next to California.
No, it's not next to California, but hey, Precious said, yeah, right next to California. You can just drive on over there and go swimming in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah.
That is 100% a true story.
I believe you. I believe you.
I'm kind of curious. What is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
So this has probably happened to me at least 5 times, and Trevor Noah has spoken about this in one of his comedy specials. I forget which one. I'm sure many Africans who have lived, worked, or studied abroad can relate to this. Basically, I went to university in Australia, and there I met a lot of American exchange students who are mostly really lovely people. But a lot of the times the conversation would go like this. They'd ask where I'm from. I'd say I'm from Botswana. They'd ask, oh, where's Botswana? I'd say Botswana's a country in Southern Africa. They're like, oh, Southern Africa? And then they'll say, oh, I met this random African person from a random African country, and then they ask me if I know them.
Actually, that's I had a similar situation myself. I've told the story about there was a guy from Russia who asked me if I knew Tom Cruise because I was from the United States. But a similar thing is if you've ever been to Los Angeles, there's a lot of Mexican restaurants around there, as you would expect there to be. And I've been asked questions like, we went to this mom and pop Mexican restaurant in Los Angeles. Do you know what it might be called? And like I said, they're all over the place. But I also have been asked, questions like that, like, I've been to Los Angeles. Oh, I have a friend named Patty who lives out there. Do you know her? And again, I don't know why they asked that question, but it's not too dissimilar from this.
I don't just know everybody from Africa.
It's like, there's everybody, everybody from another country knows everybody else in that country. It's like anything else in the United States. I don't know everybody in the United States. That's kind of a silly question, but yeah.
You wouldn't meet 2 people from New York and just assume they know each other. So why would you assume 2 people from different countries on a whole continent know each other?
Yeah, you're right. Not going to dispute that. Silly. No question about it, but and funny nonetheless. But that is what it is. But hey, again, I enjoyed this. This is number 7 of these videos that I've done, and I like responding to them. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Please click like and subscribe, and well, as long as you guys like them, I'll keep doing them. But keep in mind another thing, like I said before, if you don't know, you don't know. Just ask questions, smart questions, not stupid questions. Just ask smart questions. Like, if you claim ignorance, sorry, do not know, have no clue, and use your devices and find out. Learning is limitless. Please click like and subscribe, and thanks for watching this video.